The night she whispered it, the room didn't breathe. "My son never learned how to love the way you do," my ex's mother murmured, her voice trembling like it carried a secret too heavy for the walls. "I wish I had a lover like you." In that single second, everything I believed about loyalty, guilt, and forgiveness collapsed, and I had no idea that pulling her closer would change all our lives forever. I never planned to see her again. I had come back only to return a box of old letters I'd found while moving on, letters I never sent, memories I never finished grieving. The house smelled the same: jasmine tea, old books, and rain-soaked wood. She stood there older, softer around the eyes, but with the same sadness I remembered from the years I dated her son. She had always watched quietly as her boy loved loudly and carelessly, breaking hearts without knowing how. Including mine. When she invited me in, it felt harmless, like closure wearing a familiar face. We talked about small things: weather, work, the way life keeps going even when it shouldn't. But beneath every word was something unsaid, a shared understanding that we both had loved the same man in very different ways, and both had been left empty-handed. As the evening deepened, the storm outside grew louder, as if the sky itself wanted to listen. She told me about her marriage, a lifetime of being chosen second, of being useful but never cherished. I told her about loving her son so completely that I forgot how to love myself. Our confessions didn't feel wrong. They felt honest. When her voice cracked and she whispered those words, it wasn't desire that filled the room, it was recognition. She wasn't seeing me as her son's ex. She was seeing someone who knew how to stay, how to listen, how to love without disappearing. My heart raced with fear, with responsibility, with a strange, frightening warmth. I should have stepped back. Instead, I pulled her closer, not to cross a line, but to stop her from falling apart. And in that moment, the real conflict began. The line between comfort and longing, between healing and hurting others, blurred beyond recognition. Days passed, then weeks. We tried to pretend that night was just a storm and nothing more. But life doesn't forget moments like that. We kept meeting, at first in daylight, with distance, with rules. Coffee conversations turned into long walks, walks into shared silences that felt safer than words. She never touched me again without asking, never leaned in without searching my face for permission. That respect made everything harder. The guilt came in waves. I questioned myself constantly. Was I replacing her son? Was I betraying my past? Or was I finally choosing honesty over fear? The biggest challenge wasn't what people would say, it was what it meant for who I believed I was. Loving her felt calm, not chaotic. It didn't burn, it warmed. And that scared me more than passion ever had. When her son, my ex, found out, the world cracked open. His anger was loud, cruel, and rooted in wounds he never healed. He accused us of betrayal, of weakness, of rewriting history to excuse our pain. For the first time, I didn't apologize. I told him the truth, that love isn't owned, that neglect has consequences, and that kindness leaves doors open long after passion slams them shut. His mother stood beside me, shaking but unhidden. That moment cost her a son's approval, but it gave her something she had never had before, a voice. The storm passed slowly after that. Some days were heavy with regret. Some nights were quiet victories. We didn't rush. We didn't pretend love fixed everything. We chose patience. Therapy. Boundaries. Time. In the end, the story wasn't about scandal or forbidden romance. It was about two broken people choosing growth over shame. About learning that love doesn't always arrive the way society approves, but it always demands honesty. When she once whispered that wish, she wasn't asking for a lover. She was asking for a life where she mattered. And when I pulled her closer, I wasn't claiming her, I was standing with her. That choice taught me the most powerful lesson of my life: real love doesn't steal from the past, it heals it. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is choose kindness, even when the world doesn't understand it. If this story touched you, stayed with you, or made you question what love really means, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because stories like this remind us we're not alone in learning how to love better. The hardest part came after the shouting stopped. Silence is crueler than anger. In those quiet days, I questioned everything again. Was love still right if it arrived wrapped in pain? She avoided my eyes at first, afraid that choosing happiness meant losing her dignity. I told her something no one had ever told her before, that love doesn't begin with permission from the world, it begins with honesty with yourself. We agreed to slow down, to heal before we held hands in public, to build something clean instead of hiding in shadows. That decision alone felt like freedom. Time softened the sharp edges. Her son didn't forgive us quickly, but he began to understand that his anger was really grief, for the mother he never truly saw, and the love he never learned to protect. One afternoon, he showed up quietly, not to argue, but to listen. That moment didn't fix everything, but it planted peace. I realized then that love isn't about replacing someone, it's about becoming better than who you were yesterday. Months later, we sat on a park bench, no whispers, no fear. She smiled the way people do when they finally feel chosen. I understood the truth at last: sometimes life breaks rules to fix hearts. Sometimes the right thing doesn't look perfect, but it feels peaceful. And if love teaches us kindness, courage, and respect, then it can never truly be wrong. If this story stayed with you, remember, choose love that heals, not love that hurts. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that touch the heart and change the way we see life. The real ending didn't arrive with applause or forgiveness. It came quietly, on an ordinary morning, when I realized my heart no longer felt heavy. We were standing in the kitchen, sunlight spilling across the floor, doing nothing special, just sharing silence without fear. That's when I understood: love doesn't need drama to be real. It needs safety. People never fully stopped judging. Some smiled politely, others whispered. But she stopped shrinking. She started laughing louder, speaking her mind, choosing herself without apology. Watching that change healed something in me too. I learned that loving someone properly can rewrite the parts of you that once accepted less. We didn't call it destiny or fate. We called it choice, made every day, carefully. Her son eventually found peace of his own. Not because he approved, but because he grew. He learned that love isn't ownership, and pain doesn't give us the right to cage others. That understanding closed a chapter none of us knew how to finish. One evening she looked at me and said softly, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." And I realized the truth I want you to remember: sometimes the bravest love isn't loud or perfect, it's gentle, respectful, and healing. If a story like this moved you, let it remind you to choose love that helps you grow, not love that keeps you small. Stay with stories that touch the soul, and subscribe for more journeys that remind us what being human really means.